Welcome to Book Crew. We are on KCCC 930 AM in Carlsbad, New Mexico on Mondays at noon. We're also available wide on every major podcast platform out there and on video at YouTube and Rumble. On Book Crew, we help writers get their book written, edited, published, and promoted. I am writer and marketing Jedi Dirk Hooper, and I'm joined as always by author and editor Beth A. Freely. How you doing, Beth?
I'm good, Dirk. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Enjoying all this moon talk.
Oh, I love all the moon talk. The moon talk is just it's just satisfying something deep in my soul.
It sure is. Me too. It feels really special. I enjoy any rocket launches, but when we're breaking records and we're sending astronauts out there and all that sort of stuff, that and getting new pictures of the moon and naming craters and all this stuff, I'm going crazy.
Did you feel?
I love it.
Did you feel a little nervous when she went up? You know, because moonshot like this is, you know, we've gone back to, you know, the old Gemini style rockets, the old style capsules and everything.
Yes.
You know, did you feel that were you kind of holding your breath until those rockets fell off? Yeah. We're the same generation. We're the ones that watched Challenger blow up on national TV in front of us, and then we're the ones that remember Columbia.
Yes, you know, and I usually watch this stuff live.
Yeah,
so I don't hear about it on the news or anything. I'm watching it.
Yep.
And when it happens, it's, you know, it affects me greatly emotionally because I'm very much invested in space travel and all this sort of stuff. Here. And, you know, obviously it's several, you know, souls on board, which is, you know, and they're always like the coolest people ever. So it's, you know, it's doubly, I mean, like these 4 astronauts that we have out there right now are they're all like, you know, Marvel superheroes. They're just awesome.
And they're Gen Xers like us.
Right. Yeah.
Instead of veering away because they grew up seeing the same things we did, they said, yeah, time out. We'll show you how this is done. We're going to make sure this doesn't happen again. And it's like, yes. I love it.
Yeah, I held my breath because this is, it's a new capsule. It's a new deal, but it's on old rockets and stuff. It's like, there's a lot of, you know, space travel's still very dangerous. And this is the first time that they've done this with some people on board. And so anyway, yeah, it's scary, but it's thrilling. We got one day until they land, and, you know, I'm hoping that everything comes out great and we can really celebrate this moment.
So interesting little fact. I used to work for the National Technology Transfer Center, which was part of Wheeling Jesuit University. And they have long since closed or are no longer affiliated with the university, but that's neither here nor there. After Columbia, they actually approached us because my boss came to me. I ran the corporate library. So we had archives, and of course our biggest client was NASA.
Oh, wow.
And had my boss come to me and say, hey, I need you to look through the archives for me. He goes, something about Gemini rockets. What do you mean something about Gemini rockets? I said, okay. I said, why? He goes, because apparently NASA can't find their copies of the specs for the Gemini rockets.
What?
I don't know to this day if my boss was pulling my leg or not, but you know, we had a copy of the Gemini rocket specs in the archive, so we were able to provide NASA with that. But it was just one of those surreal things, and you know, this was 20 years ago, so
that's
I'm okay
amazing
talking about it. But you know, it was just one of those things. But you know, we had in our archives the final reports on both Challenger and Columbia, which was very heart-wrenching reading. And it, you know, so I've always kept one foot kind of, so to speak, in the door when it comes to space travel and what's going on with NASA and everything. Yes, I watched William Shatner go up on Blue Origin and all of that, but it's not the same. It's not the same feel. It's not the same missions. You know, this is the excitement.
No, that's a circus ride.
Yeah. This is the excitement we have waited for to see again. And my brother, who remembers the first moon landing, you know, he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, are you watching NASA and Artemis?" I said, "Dang right, I'm watching NASA and Artemis." I said, "Yep, I am." I said, "You better believe it." And so we've been chatting back and forth about it and stuff, which has been fun because, you know, the excitement again. My threads right now is nothing but Artemis, which I absolutely love. Absolutely love.
That's awesome.
Somebody
I just started a new Threads account myself.
Oh, did you? Cool.
Yeah.
Somebody put something on Threads. I'm trying to see if I can find it because it kind of hit where it counts, and it was about Artemis. I'm trying to see if I can find it. But it was something along the line of, with Artemis and these and these astronauts, the crew of Columbia watched them go up and protected them. The crew of Apollo, pick one of the failed missions, have protected them around the moon. And not the crew of Columbia, the crew of Challenger has protected them going up. The crew of the Apollo missions have protected them around the moon, and now the crew of Challenger will protect them when they come down.
Yeah, I hope so.
I believe that.
Yeah,
see,
I hope so. Yeah, I know. I feel the same way. Well, I'll tell you what, while you're recovering from that, let me introduce our guest and bring her on board. Kathleen fulfilled her childhood dream of becoming a writer in 2019. She has released 3 science fiction / romance novels, King of Onus, Hidden Dragons, and Dream Brides. She founded Transcendent Authors, a group of authors who write anthologies. She is the president of the White Mountains chapter of Arizona Professional Writers. In her past career, she was awarded the Entrepreneur of the Year by the Regional Chamber of Commerce with 1,200 members. Those members also voted for her as Volunteer of the Year. She helped organize a women's conference, the San Jacinto. Jacinto? I'll ask her in a minute. Valley Women's Conference to raise. If it's Mexican, if it's Spanish, I'm going to mess it up.
Yep.
Conference to raise funds for the higher education for women of all ages. In the 4 years she was the president, they raised $125,000, which is awesome. Kathleen Osborne, welcome to Book Crew.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure being here and meeting you.
It's a pleasure to have you. How do you pronounce that?
San Jacinto.
Jacinto. There we go. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I'm from Oklahoma. I don't know how to pronounce that. I always get tripped up on that. To begin with, let me ask you, you fulfilled a childhood dream of becoming a writer in 2019. What finally pushed you to make the leap and write your first novel?
It was retiring from my 4th career, and I couldn't sit. I just had to do something. So I remembered when I was in junior high how I wanted to write. I was a math major, and I also was a music major in high school. So that kind of opened up both creativities. But when I went in the military, all I did was statistics. And there is no creativity in statistics. No creative writing in reports.
Yuck, numbers.
Kind of, went away. And so I looked at my husband and I said, I think I'm going to write a book. And he said, well, why don't you write a book? So I did. I sat down and threw up on the paper, because you can't call it anything until you do put it on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I had the greatest opus in the world. And I shared it with my friends, and they're like, oh, you wrote a book. How wonderful. And then I showed it to a very good friend, and she said, Kathleen, you need help. And that is what I saw. I turned around, and there was a wonderful young woman. Her name was Jackie Hamilton, and she was a developmental editor. And
nice.
She looked at it. She says, well, it's not bad at all. You just have 3 books in one. And we got to untwine them. And that was The Dream Brides is the first book of it.
Okay, yeah.
And it was the 3rd novel I produced. I wrote 2 other novels and started the Transcendent Authors in the meantime. And I started that because I found out my father had adult ADD. And with him, that meant he couldn't read past a magazine article without getting antsy, falling asleep, or getting angry. And I thought, well, that's a whole market.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I put a call out to several different people, and I ended up with a group from Europe and a group from the United States. And we started with 10, now there's 14, and for once I'm not writing in them, I'm managing them this time.
This is the most recent. Yeah, this is the most recent Transcendent Author anthology. And they're all under 10,000 words?
No, each author at the beginning was given, let's see, we had 10,000 words for 2 stories. We had 10 authors, and they had to do 2 stories. Then we moved to 20,000 words, and for 2 stories. Then we moved to 20,000 words with 1 story.
And they could be shorter, yeah.
And then now we're back to 20,000 words with 2 stories, because the Transcendent Authors are writing the 7 Deadly Sins. And Beth is part of that. She is, they have to write on greed, a story on greed, and a story on lust. And that will be out in November of this year. And next year, the next book will be, until we're completed.
So this was my first Transcendent Author anthology.
Yes.
And this actually has a short story in it that goes with Love of a Samurai.
Yep. Yep.
Well, Kathleen, you blend science fiction and romance. What drew you to that particular combination?
I love science fiction. I love the versatility of it. So long as you can find, like, take, for example, the last book that we just wrote, Reverie. The story I wrote in there was aliens crash landed here 23,000 years ago. And how they integrated into society. Their planet finally found them in present day. And when they said, we need you to come back because you are actually the last of the line of the priestesses and the king. And we need these other people as advisors to come. And they said, well, a couple of them were people of a certain age. And they said, well, we could be dead by the time we get there. How long is it going to take us to get there? You said it's galaxies away. And they said, oh, Well, we fold light. Now, that's a theory that scientists are looking at now for space travel, folding light. And if sound is fast, how much faster is light?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what got me into it. Watching the different movies, not the horror movies, can't handle those, but Star Trek, Star Wars,
Yep.
Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest.
The fun ones, yeah. Starfire. Oh, I love Starfire. All of those. I love those, but I always have a mystery in mind too, because I love mysteries. So there's always something in there that has that. But it was the flexibility of what you can imagine. Nothing. I'm playing with a short story right now of a murder happens on a shuttle between the Earth and the Moon. We're like 5,000 years ahead of now, and we've allowed aliens to colonize Earth, or not Earth, but the Moon, because we're going out beyond that. And an ambassador's wife gets murdered on the shuttle. The new ambassador.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. And the head of security of the aliens is on the shuttle, and the ambassador's head of security is with them, and they've got to figure out who did it. But at the same time, the alien is a male, and he has never really been allowed to be around females. So he doesn't understand women or any of the, especially Earth women, much less their own culture. And here on Earth, it's a female that is, and she's Navajo, by the way, that is going as the security for the ambassador. And everybody underestimates her because she's kind of plump and quiet and just does things. And so they take advantage of her, and they think that she'll just take care of it, but she's not anything important. She's not super smart or anything like that. Well, she is so smart, it's not even funny. She's even started learning the aliens' language. Unfortunately, she says a word that is a mating call.
Whoops.
To the head of security. And he takes it, and he thinks, and then she drops the F-bomb, and he thinks that that's an invitation. So there's some comedy in this one too. She paints her fingernails red, and he thinks she's bleeding at the fingernails. He wants to triage, So it's going to be a comedy, it's going to be a mystery, but it's also going to be a love story. So and you can't do that here on Earth.
Right.
In present day without science fiction.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Someone, either way.
Yeah.
Kathleen, how many books have you written?
I have written in 8 anthologies, and I have written 3 novels.
Of the 3 novels you wrote, which one was the most challenging?
Or 4 novels. I just finished the 4th one.
Of the 4 novels you've written, which one was the most challenging and why?
Actually, I would say it's one I'm writing right now. It's a sequel to the first novel I wrote because it's a parallel. In King of Onus, there were 15 women that were kidnapped to take to another galaxy to help with procreation. Because there were 1 in 300 births were women. And so they were having all these problems. And unfortunately, there was some mix-up. There was damage done. They lost one of the women because of a meteor shower hitting the ship. And they land there. But when they were taken, at the same time, my main female protagonist was orphaned. She was actually royalty here on Earth. And you've heard of the political play where some of the bigger countries overwhelm and say, well, it's just a small country. We're going to take it over peacefully, absorb all their riches, and dethrone the king and queen. That's what happened to this country. Russia did it. And they took all their money. They didn't get to even keep a dime. And the only place that they had refuge was in the United States. Her parents died. She got put in the system because nobody wanted anything to do with the poor orphaned royalty. And that's how she met this other girl. They grew up in the system, and every year they met. One was a reporter, and she ended up working for the president of the United States. She was an artist and ended up being famous in her own lifetime. She gets kidnapped to be taken to this galaxy. The other one, she was scheduled to be taken, but if she got taken, it would have destroyed planets because she needed to show up 200 years later with her mate. And her mate had to kidnap her on the same night at the same time that her friend was being kidnapped in a different location. And then they can't see each other for 200 years. So all of this goes on. And when they do come together, everything has to still be the same in both books, exactly the same at those particular time. And that's hard, really hard to create those parallels, knowing she's going through these other things. And it was hard for me to get into her head because I had been so involved in the other woman's head and her life that when I switched over, I kept thinking like the other woman, not like her. And now I broke free of that. And so now I'm just zooming. It's done. I just need to edit it now. The draft is done.
How did you keep track of that? If you had to line up two different storylines, how did you take
I have
notes,
a story
or did
Bible.
you? Okay, yeah. Like, where do you? Is it a notebook or is it something electronic or
Both.
Okay.
I keep notes on. I have a portable drive. I have my hard drive.
Right.
I have it in hard print, also, especially the notes.
It's a good
the
idea.
little side things.
Yeah, really good idea.
I want those papers out here, so I'm not having to look at 3 different screens.
I hear you.
That interrupts me from writing.
Yep. Yep. Well, let me ask what a typical writing routine for you looks like. Are you a daily writer, or do you work in bursts, or how does it work out for you?
When I'm on track, I'm up between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And I write until my husband gets up. And that can be between 6 and 7. And then my day begins.
So you get up early to get a head start on your writing.
I like quiet, absolute quiet when I write.
I get that, sure.
But at the same time, I'm starting to hear songs in my head when I'm writing. I created 2 songs for this latest book. Beth's heard them.
Mhm. They're
One
actually
of
kind of
them,
fun.
yeah. I've had some people say they need to go on the radio. I haven't copyrighted them yet, so they need to be done that way first before I put them on the radio.
So, you have a music background. How are you composing these?
I write the lyrics from my words in my book, and I use Suno because I can direct it.
All right.
And I don't write music. I've never been that way, but I did do poetry for a couple of years in high school. And so I can work with poetry a little bit, but it'll be a phrase. Like the first song I wrote on the first draft of Wyoming Rodeo was Beyond Compare. Their love was beyond compare. And that was what was the name of the song. And then the second one was she was so wounded and she didn't even realize she was wounded emotionally, the protagonist, that it was True Love Heals is what came out of that.
I think it's a really cool. Do you plan on doing something with that?
Mm-hmm.
Like sharing it with your readers or figuring out a way to get those to them?
Yep. Beth's helped me do that.
Okay. Yeah.
When people buy the book, they get a download of True Love Heals.
Ah, there we go. Okay. Very cool.
What I did was I put the link to it on her book funnel, on the book funnel page. So that when they purchase the book and they get the book funnel page to download the book, there's also a spot with the link that says download your free copy of.
Oh my gosh. So that's cool.
They can just download that as well as
I like
the same
that
time they
a
download
lot.
the book. Yeah.
Yeah. And then go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I know that Beth had someone compose music for one of her books, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
What was that? Yeah. What was that?
That was Seraphine Black. She is a musician out of Australia, and she does music for books and stuff like that. And basically, she did 3 songs for Beyond the Steps of Stone for me. I basically gave her the basic premises, and I told her, I said, I want one for the whole group. I want one for the bad guys, which was actually the bomb was the song that she did for the bad guy. And then, just kind of like an overarching theme. And then the other one, she did 2 songs for Love of a Samurai for me, both of which were just dead on, as far as
that is so
sound
cool.
and for the books. Yeah.
I think a lot of people listening to this might be getting some ideas about, I'm a big proponent of, if you can, don't just give them the book, give them something, give your readers something else. Yeah. It's kind of fun. I mean, you always, when you're writing these and may go off on tangents and stuff and create things that, wouldn't exist without the book. I'm an artist. So for me, I draw pictures of all the characters and stuff. And typically I have things to share there. I've created a map for every damn book that I've written for some reason. So I always try to, share a map and stuff. But music is really awesome. I mean, because one of the things you always want to do is establish a mood for your book. And nothing establishes a mood as successfully as music.
Exactly. In fact, if you she's got it on my website also, the trailer for the book Wyoming Love or Wyoming Rodeo.
Yeah.
But the True Love Heals is the background music on the trailer.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So And what's wonderful is that it's not, it's something that you can share easily. It's also something that you can monetize if you want. Beyond Compare is going to go eventually on my website, but it's going to go only for the fans. I'm giving it away to a couple of select people right now, but I cry when I read it, listen to it. So,
cool.
I mean, it affects me so much.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I believe that every author is in business, and every author needs 5 ways of income. You need to make your business work 5 different ways for you. I learned that in direct sales. Weather, life, death in a family, loss of a full-time or a part-time job when you desperately need it, and you're just starting out. You need something else from your writing that can help you. And that's one of my things I harp on.
Always a good idea.
Yep.
When you are writing, before you start a novel, are you the type of person that plots it out considerably, or do you just get started on it and see what happens?
I am a pantser at heart. It's really hard for me to even stick to what Beth and I laugh about it. I call it scaffolding.
Or scaffolding,
yeah, my scaffolding. It's not quite an outline, but it gives me a little bit of a guide. And I also brainstorm, and sometimes out of the brainstorming, and I'll use AI for that, because it's quiet in the morning, and I'll just sit down and start asking, okay, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? What do you think of this? Or ask me some questions. And I'll come up with my own theories, my own ideas on how and what I want to see. But I always know one thing when I go in. Once I put pen to paper and it starts, I know the beginning, I know the middle, and I know the ending. I don't always know what happens in the middle. So, and I use AutoCrit a lot. And there's other software that's coming alongside it that is just as strong, like Noveler, Novel Crafter. Those are all really good programs that I've experimented with. But with AutoCrit, I can put it through their beta readers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Create my own beta readers and alpha readers and get an opinion before I give it to a human beta reader.
AutoCrit, Kathleen introduced me to AutoCrit, and it is a powerful tool for authors, because not only can you use it, for, similar to like Grammarly and get all your grammar and stuff done, it will analyze your book and tell you exactly where it's landing, what it's similar to. Like, I used it for Love of a Samurai, and it was comparing the book to things like Shogun and Memoirs of a Geisha and stuff like that. And I was sending stuff I was like, Kathleen, check this out. Look at this. You got to check this out. When I was writing it and everything. And it is probably one of the most powerful tools out there at an extremely affordable price for authors.
Mm-hmm. And you can also dictate in it. It's one of the easier dictation tools out there, because if you pause, it pauses. It doesn't keep recording dead
because
air.
when I do transcription or dictation, I tend to roll several things out and then I stop. And then if you're in like, it'll turn off. It'll be like, you haven't talked in forever. You've gone into the other room. But I have a lot of pauses on, what I'm doing. And that is a pain. I wish I could set that thing up to either just automatically start back up again when I start back up again, or tell it to just keep going or whatever for a certain period of time. I'm not sure why it doesn't do that, but anyway, it's good to hear that they do that.
Yeah, and it puts in the punctuation.
That's cool.
For you.
Yeah, that's good.
Like your periods, you don't say period. The one thing it doesn't do is you can't tell it to back up. Erase that. You can't tell it to do that. It won't do that.
Oh.
It'll type erase that.
It's only forward.
It's only forward.
You're only going forward with it. Yeah. I'm actually looking forward to testing the dictation part of it. I'm currently handwriting a novel right now. So instead of trying to type it back into the computer when I'm done, I'm actually going to try the dictation part of AutoCrit and see how it works.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're getting down to the last few minutes here. Let me quickly ask you to tell us a little bit about the White Mountains chapter of Arizona Professional Writers and kind of briefly summarize that for us.
We are a group of writers that belong to under the umbrella of Arizona Professional Writers, which is an affiliate with the National Federation Press Women. And it's not just for women, but it's for both. We came about because of the prejudice when women became reporters. They were denied the press room. And so this was their answer to it. What we have coming up is currently we're running a writers contest. You can live anywhere and participate in the writers contest. It's $20 for entry. If you want a deep critique, it's $40. You can go on our website that has the forms on it, which is wmfestivalbooks.org. That's it. And download all the forms and submit your entry. The entry has to be in by June 1st. It's going to be awarded at our writers conference. And James A. Owen is our keynote speaker. The theme of our writers conference is Wave of Change, because we're in the middle of a huge change in the writing world right now. So we're having that. That's in up here in the White Mountains in Sholo. And then the very next day we have a book festival. And it's still early bird prices. And you can get all that information off of wmfestivalbooks.org. And more information is coming.
All right. Well, tell us where they can find people can find your books and where you want them to go.
You can find my books on asbpub.com, authors Kathleen Osborne. She sends it wide. She's my publisher and a friend. I don't think you can't have a friend in this business.
We're all friends. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're all friends in this
Yeah,
business at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can also find them on my website, but it will point you directly to hers also.
What is your website? I didn't have that.
Yes, it's Kathleen-Osborne.com. Simple.
All right. That's super simple. Not surprising at all.
I'm very simple.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap things up?
Well, I'd like to show you something.
Okay.
This is Iona. My dragon.
Oh, that's cool. What is
from
that?
Hidden Dragons. She's made with felt and wire, and her wings are made from a leftover saddle.
Oh, wow.
Yes. One of my friends is an artist, and I gave her a picture of Iona, and she created her from the picture.
That is super cool.
Yes. So, and she's going to be at the festival. So, anyway, I'm just really proud of her.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is great. I love that too. Kathleen, thank you so much for being on here today.
Been a privilege. Really has been a privilege, and it's been a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
Beth, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you?
You can find me in the usual haunts. But hey, this year on July 31st, if you are in Show Low, come to the White Mountains Festival. I am actually one of the speakers this year for the Wave of Change. My topic this year is called Go Learn Something. You're going to have to find out what it's all about. You're going to have to come out and see us. But you can also find me at BethAnnFreely.com. themusesfunhouse.com, and houseofthevixenblade press.com, which is one of my newest ventures. It is, for authors to find books and planners and instructional guides to help them with their writing, as well as they will soon be finding my imprints on there as well. And, check out my link tree, B.A. Freely, so you can find me on all the social media spots.
Very cool. I could talk about a bunch of stuff, but I'm just going to try to funnel everyone over right now to my Substack, my newsletter, which is kdhooper.substack.com. I am like maybe hours away from finishing the second draft of my first chapter of my new book, and I'm going to share that on there. So, and if you want to read my book, I'm going to put every chapter on my newsletter. So you're going to be able to read it before anyone else, and hopefully comment on it and tell me if it's super terrible or if it's the best thing that you've ever read or somewhere in between. Because like all authors, I have no idea what I've got. Please tell me what I have with this silly thing so that I can, start refining it and then publishing it and marketing it. Before we go, I want to say that Beth A. Freely is offering web design and book trailer services, and I'm offering author social media management, designing book covers, and doing author branding at themusesfunhouse.com. I'd like to invite everyone to join and participate on our Book Crew Facebook group. It's facebook.com/group/Book Crew Podcast. Join and tell your author friends. Finally, visit our site, bookcrewpodcast.com, for the information about this episode, our previous episodes, and articles from Beth and me about how to write, edit, publish, and promote your book. Thanks to our guest, Kathleen Osborne. For Beth A. Freely, I am Dirk Hooper saying, dream hard.